the final part of our tutorial series of the compound interest calculator, we're going to change the appearance of our app. So we're going to make it look better by adding color and nicer text fields. Right now we just have it all in gray and kind of boring looking, so it's important that we make it look good. And yes, it's important to make it look good, otherwise people won't want to use it. So first we're going to run it, see how it looks, make sure it all works, and then we will change the appearance of it to make it more visually appealing. So now that we've implemented the entire functionality of the app and are pretty sure we have it working, let's go ahead and run it. So I have my Android emulator here, and I've just minimized our Xamarin Studio a little bit so we can make room for that. So up here, it's going to be the same as in iOS, except we're selecting Droid this time. So we're going to right click up here, this is under Solution, and we're going to go Run With, and we're going to select the Nexus S. And I'm just going to close this up a little bit. Cool, so as we can see, it's running, and we have our 4 input fields, the button, and our output field. So let's go ahead and fill these with some values. So I'm going to use the same values as we've seen before, just because we know those values work. And the number of times, let's say 1, 20 years invested, and let's calculate. Excellent. So the final value of your investment is $13,266.49. So this is the same numbers we've seen before. If we want, we can modify this a bit. Let's put in 6,000. Oh, that's 600. No, no wonder the number is so small. There we go. And here we get almost 16,000. If we're doing it for only 10 years, then we'll get a different number still. Yeah, it's much lower. And so on and so forth. So we know the calculator is working fine. However, it doesn't really look very appealing. This isn't an app that I personally would install or use, really. So let's make this look a little better. So we're just going to stop running this for now, and we're going to minimize this because we now know what it looks like. So if we go to the main.axml, this is where we change the appearance of the app. So this is very similar to the main.storyboard in iOS. So first thing we want to do is let's change the background. So I'm just clicking on the background here, not on any one of these individual fields. And if we look under properties, just going to drag this out a little bit, and it's not going to let me. Okay, so let's scroll down. So we have the widget. This is going to be basically all of the, this is not going to be appearance wise, this is just going to be to do with the ID and the positioning and everything. So let's go to style. We're going to go to background up here. And let's change the color. So I kind of like the green scheme that we had with the iOS version, so I'm going to keep that on. So let's have, how about this color? Or that one. Either way. So there we go, we have that. And now let's add some more color to each of these. So let's click on each text field individually, and the first thing we're going to do, we don't want to change that, but you can change your text appearance here if you want. Change your text size. So let's have this increase in size a little bit. If it was size 20. And let's have it centered. So the way we do that is going back to widget. If we hit gravity, then select center, then it centers the text. For some reason, it's called gravity. I'm not really sure why, but that's just how it is. Okay, so we can do stuff like make it all caps, also length, we can make it also text, whatever we want. And so let's do that really quickly for each one. Just want to center them all. And same with this one. And same with this one. This one I'm going to center, and I'm going to have it in all caps, just to make it stand out a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do here is if I click twice on this button and I drag this down just a little bit, I can give it some kind of a margin between the button and the beginning of this text input. Now, you can do that manually by going to Layout, and under View Group it has margin left, margin top, right, bottom, etc. So you can change it there, but if you want to have it really precise, however, for this one I'm just going to use a shortcut and just go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's change the color of this button first of all. So if we go to Style, we can go to, this has the text colors, we'll get to that in a little bit. What we want is the background. Oh, and I saw it there. Here we go. So this is under Selection Drawables. We're going to go Background. And let's give it that blue color. That's actually a pretty nice blue. Alright, good stuff. Now let's change the text size here, because it's not quite big enough. So if we change it to 20, how's that going to look? Almost a little too big. Let's go with 18. Good stuff. So now that's looking good. These are looking pretty good. Let's change the hint text color though, because remember these are called hints. And so let's just go to the gray, we'll select the white there. And actually, before we move on to the others, let's change the text color as well. Because right now, all we've changed is the color of the placeholder. Now, that means that the actual text that is written is going to be a different color unless we make them both the same. So now we have to change both the hint color and the text color. So let's go ahead and change them both now. So this is also going to be white. Okay. And if you're ever unsure, you could get rid of the placeholder and just put in a text just to check and see see how it looks. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that hint color. And I'm just going to do this for all of these here. Okay, and the hint color. And also, we changed the size of this to be 20. Let's do the same for all of them. In fact, 20 might be a little big. I'm just going to keep it at 18. It looks like 18 is actually the standard. So that's fine. We have a fairly small screen here as the problem. And if we want to make the final investment value stick out, so that's going to take up a lot of room. So again, just changing the last of the text colors. And we'll give it that one. And the final investment value, will change the color of that too. There we go. Good stuff. Okay, now the last step will be to increase the size of this. So let's give it 20. That's still going to be a bit too small. I'm just going to make this field a little bigger. So if with this box selected, we hit the circle and we just make it a little bigger. Cool. So that just ensures that it won't run off and disappear. So if we change this to 30, how is that going to look? Alright, so that's going to be pretty bold. It's going to be big and it will be easy to read. And that's what we want, because this is what we're most interested in. We want the final value to be big and easy to read. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this, Command S. We'll go to main activity, we'll save that too. And let's go ahead and run this one more time. So we'll do run with an XSS. And we'll just make that a little smaller and pull up the simulator. Here we go. Alright, there we go. It looks a little better than it did before. So then if we do the same, we'll do 5,000, 5%, 1, and 20. And we'll just get rid of that. calculate final investment. It says the final value of your investment is, and then it cuts off. So that's how we know that we need to make this a little bigger. We'll stop running this, go back to main, and let's make this bigger. Okay, so what else we can do is we can say, just to make sure it doesn't run off the edge, let's just test that and see how that looks. So we'll run it again, and hopefully the value doesn't cut off this time. It's just going to load here. Almost loaded. And here we go. Let's go 5,000, 5 once, and 20 years. Let me get rid of that. There we go. That's much better. So before we had it cutting off, you see, which is why I increased the size, and now we get everything displayed. We get the money value in with only 2 decimal places rather than 12. And there we go. We have a working app that looks decent. Feel free to change a color scheme. This is just one of many different schemes that you could have. So we know that's working fine, and we can stop running this. So this is what our app looks like in Android. We've now built it in iOS and Android. So now you know how to build a compound interest calculator. So you can build it, you can implement the functionality, you can change the appearance, and so yeah, feel free to try and build different calculators to perform different kinds of functions. This one's just taking one simple formula with 4 inputs, and it will output just the one number, but you can get more and more complicated, try different functionality. Right, well, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next series. In the final part of our tutorial series, we changed the appearance of the app. So we made sure it worked by running it, and then made it more visually appealing by adding in color and changing the sizes and just generally making it look nicer. So by now, you should be able to build a fully working compound interest calculator in both iOS and Android. So this involves making sure that it works properly and making sure that it looks good. Now I just gave you one color scheme. You can do whatever colors and whatever appearance you want. You can have different size text inputs, different fonts, whatever you want, as long as you make it look good, because otherwise people won't want to use it. So this has been our tutorial series on how to make a compound interest calculator, first in iOS and then in Android using Xamarin Studio. Thank you very, very much for watching, and we will see you next series.